up, everyone? We're doing our first episode of this podcast we're deciding to start. It's your boy Thomas Waywell here, and
Levi Ringo.
like the star, as he always says. Anyways, so today we're talking about, well, what do you want to talk about today, Levi?
Well, what do we have on schedule today, Thomas?
Well, if we were going to go look at our itinerary, well, how about you introduce yourself? Give me a little something about yourself.
Thomas, I would love to do nothing more than introduce myself. Thank you. Well, my name is Levi Ringo. I am 20 years old, 6'1", and Korean, and half black.
All right.
And
Okay.
mm-hmm.
We might have
Well,
to.
I want our viewers to be able to visualize what they think I look like.
Oh, you want them to think you're half black.
Maybe they can jerk their chickens a little bit.
All right, we're going for that kind of content.
That's our market, dude.
All right.
I'm just kidding. My name is Levi Ringo. I am a 20-year-old college student. Been collecting sneakers for, I don't know, since a long time, dude.
It's been a while for you.
Yeah, since I was in 8th grade. So, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 1, 2, 3. So, close, almost 10 years.
10 years already.
Almost.
For you.
It's like 7.
Dang.
More like 7
Okay.
years. So,
So you got some history behind all of this.
Oh, yeah. I started collecting in 8th grade, and it started almost like as a means of survival for me because I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and my family's broke and been broke for our entire lives. And so one of the ways I would get money would, my favorite YouTuber at the time, Timothy De La Ghetto, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he's now the Asian guy on Wild 'N Out. I used to follow him on YouTube when I was a kid, and one of the days he posted a video of him showing his sneaker collection, and he would match his shoes with outfits, and I thought that was super cool. But for me, I would get one pair of shoes a year from like Walmart or Target or whatever. And I was like, I want to step my game up a little bit. So brought all my shoes that I had, I cleaned them all up, I started matching them to my outfits, but I was like, man, I want some hot stuff. So I started my own business. I would go door to door, like asking people like, hey, I'll mow your lawn, I'll babysit, I'll watch your dogs or whatever for money. And I started saving up money, and I remember going to Marshall's, and my dad took me to Marshall's to buy a new pair of shoes, and there was a pair of shoes in there. It was Adidas Hillsdale's High, all navy blue, and it had suede on it, and I bought them for $39.95. I still have the original shoes to this day. The box, the paper, the receipt for like nostalgia, because that was the first shoes that got me into collecting. I fell in love with that feeling, and I remember wearing the same outfit like 3 times a week, because I wanted to wear the shoes all the time. And so pretty much from then I became obsessed, and I started my own sneaker cleaning thing, where I became so obsessed I started going to libraries, reading books about Nike, Adidas, Puma, how shoes are made, different materials shoes use, to watching documentaries, movies, all kinds of stuff. And I would go into Goodwills or thrift stores, and I would see the value in shoes that are in there. I'd buy them for really cheap. I would clean them up and restore them, and then sell them on eBay for a profit. And that was kind of like my means of survival, so that way my parents didn't have to pay for me to go on field trips, or I can help out with groceries or whatever, things like that. But it's like a quick synopsis of like how I got into
the basis of your sneaker
history. But then I've been collecting
life
ever since, and I've worked with Kicks on Fire, Adidas Basketball, a bunch of sneaker YouTubers follow me on Twitter, and been in the game for a long time. And I consider myself to be an old head in a 20-year-old body, so I have a very older mindset when it comes to sneaker.
Okay.
As you know.
All right.
But Thomas, let's get to know you a little bit, Thomas. What got you into sneakers?
So, my name's Thomas Waywell. I'm from Eastern Washington, Central Valley, Yakima Valley area. Grew up not really being big into hype sneakers per se, like the Jordans and certain Adidas like that, but I definitely would consider myself fashion oriented. Growing up, I always wanted to go back to school shopping every year and have the right fit. I'm 20 years old as of last December, and what we got going on right now is I'm a college student. You're a college student.
We're both college students.
We're both not on track right now. We're kind of working, saving up, biding our time, doing some of our own personal interests,
exploring.
And so what happened is, me and Levi were roommates in college. Random rooming. We didn't have any kind of idea who we were going into our apartment, and then friendship sprawled out of that, and here we are. And my sneaker history is a little, I would say, less rooted than yours. I started getting really into sneakers probably the summer before my senior year of high school. So I was like 17 when I really started, considering Jordans and all the hype releases and all that stuff. So, anyways, as we're going through our itinerary, you kind of know a little bit about me and Levi now.
And so what we thought with this sneaker podcast, what we do is, since Thomas and I both have such like different perspectives and aspects of what we bring to the sneaker community.
It's an interesting mix. Our conversations we have in car rides while we're doing our thing, going back and forth. We send each other info about new drops coming here and there. It's an interesting mix. Our perspective and how they differ.
And we figured the very constructive conversations that we have, why not bring it to the sneaker community, in the sense of like where I come from. My background in regards to sneakers is a little bit more Jordans, like kind of old generation, more Jordan based, like, Nike based. Like I grew up watching the Chicago Bulls because Chicago was the closest basketball team to St. Louis, and my parents were big Bulls fans, so my dad used to rerun all the old Bulls games for me. And so I grew up, Michael Jordan's my favorite player. The Chicago Bulls are still my favorite team. As a baby, they used to dress me in Bulls uniforms and stuff. So my background's like I love the old stuff, the old Air Maxes, the old Jordans, the old, Adidas even, in regards to like superstars and Stan Smiths.
And would you say it's pretty basketball oriented?
Coming from a basketball oriented area, then I'd say there's a lot of more basketball sneakers involved in my style, especially growing up in a very hip hop dominated city where it's part of the culture. Like, St. Louis, it's pretty much the birthplace of Air Force Ones, quote unquote, essentially, with Nelly. Shout out to the 314, Air Force Ones, come give me 2 per. So anyways, Nelly's from St. Louis, so we rep Nelly pretty hard in this song, Air Force Ones. Back home, everyone has Air Force. Yeah. Everyone and their mom has Air Force Ones.
Whereas, so that's being said, he's not from the Pacific Northwest. I feel like culture in the Pacific Northwest, sneaker culture specifically, is kind of, it satellites Chicago, LA, New York, other places. It's not really as influential. For me, personally, I came from a soccer-oriented family. My dad loves soccer. We did the Seattle Sounders every season. He got season tickets, and so I was into that extravagant shoe of having those flashy cleats or flashy indoor shoes, and I feel like it kind of transferred into some of my tastes and aesthetics when I go into the sneaker world. So yeah, what are your sneaker tastes right now for you?
Right now, I'm still, well, because I've been collecting so long, as you know, I have shoes worth like a lot of money, but I don't. I've been kind of like downsizing my collection because my collection at one point was like way over the top. It was in the triple digits. And so over time, I've just been slowly, because we travel so much. Like, essentially.
Oh, yeah. This age, I feel like a lot of, just in general, if you're
Oh, yeah.
graduated from high school, you're going to be not really rooted to a specific spot or place, and you have to be adaptable, and what comes with that is downsizing on, for example, sneaker collection.
When I was in high school, it was, at first, for me, when it was collecting, it was all about having, the most shoes, rotating between a lot of shoes and outfits, having, like, shoes that other people didn't have. It was definitely more of, like, a numbers game for me.
Yeah.
Whereas now, as I'm getting older and moving more into, like, I don't know, I just quickly realized, because I had shoes in the triple digits in my collection, and I did an Ego project my senior year of high school where I donated half my collection, and then kind of after that, I kind of realized, like, man, there's so many other people that could benefit more from the shoes. I love my shoes to death, but I just don't have time to wear all of my sneakers. I don't have the effort to wear all my sneakers, like, the outfits or, like, to manage and keep up with my collection where it is now. To, like, now, where I went off to college, I obviously couldn't take my whole collection with me, and then I started traveling this past year to Hawaii and, out to Seattle and a bunch of other places. I'm living out of, like, 3 suitcases. So, like, I physically cannot.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I cannot bring anything with me, for real. And so, now where my style is now, where I still love all my sneakers and where I used to collect, it's definitely been starting to move. Not move, but it's definitely a lot more comfort-based in the sense of, like, runners. I wear a lot of New Balances, Asics Gel Lights.
Yeah. I think
casual sneakers.
I think just from seeing you on the sidelines, I think you're moving into something more trustworthy. Like, I can wear them.
Yeah, pretty much.
And have them still be versatile in the sense of fashion-wise, but then you're not necessarily freaking out if they get trashed.
Yeah, I mean, like, you with my...
Speaking of trash sneakers...
So, I would collect a lot of sneakers from all over the spectrum. I like to think so, at least. But definitely in my daily rotations, it's a lot more New Balance. Even if I even put sneakers on, I pretty much just wear slides and socks all day. But I do have some stuff still in my collection, because now I'm down to maybe 30 to 40 pairs left.
Which is good.
Which is, I think, is a size I'm more comfortable with right now.
When you compare it to what you were at earlier.
Yeah, with what I was at, it was just overwhelming. It stinks that you're not my size, Thomas. It really does.
Yeah, so in case y'all are wondering, what is your shoe size?
I wear a size 12 is like my predominant size, but it's because I have a really wide foot, so naturally I'm really more like 11 and a half. 11.
If we were going
lengthwise. But widthwise, my foot is fat. And so I wear a size 12, sometimes even 13. Like,
you got some bricks as feet.
Yeah, like a lot of the narrow base shoes, like a lot of Nike Solar Softs, a lot of even Gel Lights are super narrow, and runners, a lot of really tight runners. I have to wear a size 13 most of the time. But what's your shoe size, Thomas?
Mine, I would say it's like a 10 to 10 and a half. 11 depending on the shoe. You know how sneakers go. It depends on the shoe. It depends on the fit. But I would traditionally say 10 and a half.
But yeah, anyways, before we get too off tangent, I have a pair of OVO white 12s.
Going back to thrashing shoes. So Levi, and with thrash shoes, he first off, he has a pair of old Jordan slides that have holes in where the big toe is on the slide. There's fat holes on both slides, and to this day he still wears them and still goes out in public, still goes out to see girls and interact with people in these shoes, sometimes wearing socks that have holes where the big toe is, and he really is looking like a bum. So
I've had those since my sophomore year of high school, so almost 7 years.
So
ago.
The goal with that side of things